Welcome back to the channel. One lump or two, a phrase that conjures images of dainty sandwiches, chintzy teacups, and perhaps a spot of gossip. But behind this charming facade lies a rich history steeped in tradition and more than a few surprises. We often associate this ritual with the British, and rightly so. It's as British as a queue in the rain or complaining about the weather. But like most things quintessentially British, it has roots that stretch far beyond the shores of this sceptred isle. So put the kettle on, grab your favourite biscuits or scones if you're feeling a bit fancy, because we are about to spill the tea and history of afternoon tea. Prepare to be amused, informed, and maybe even a little bit thirsty. After all, what's a good story without a good cuppa? Our story begins, as many good stories do, with a duchess. Her name was Anna, the 7th Duchess of Bedford, who found herself in a bit of a pickle during the 1840s. You see, the usual dinner hour was very late, around 9 p.m, leaving her Grace with a rather unpleasant rumbling in her stomach. During the afternoon hours, she thought there must be a more civilized way to stave off this sinking feeling. And thus the concept of afternoon tea was brewed. The Duchess began inviting friends secretly to join her in her private boudoir, where she had tea bread and butter and cake delivered to her room in the late afternoon. Well, news of this spread faster than clotted cream on a scone, and soon the upper classes across Britain were embracing this delightful new custom. It wasn't just about the food. Afternoon tea allowed women to entertain guests at home without their husbands, which was socially liberating. Afternoon tea became an excuse to socialize and gossip. It allowed ladies to show off their fine bone china sets and their ability to serve, which were all indications of wealth and status. Spilling the tea. In essence, afternoon tea was the Victorian equivalent of social media. Tea rooms began sprouting up all over London and became an integral part of the women's movement, a sheltering space for suffragettes, and was the one place a woman could go to alone without her husband. Let's sprinkle our story with some fascinating tea trivia, shall we? Tea as a formal meal didn't exist until the mid-19th century. Before that, tea was simply enjoyed throughout the day. Thanks to the East India Company, tea eventually became Britain's favourite beverage, and those dainty finger sandwiches. They weren't always so dainty. Early versions were quite substantial, featuring fillings like roast beef and mustard. The tea cosy, often adorned with pom-poms, wasn't just about warmth. It symbolised Victorian ingenuity, allowing the pot to steep longer for maximum flavour. A royal affair, from palaces to parlours. No discussion of afternoon tea would be complete without mentioning its royal connection to Queen Victoria, who popularised royal tea and enjoying it strong with a splash of milk. Heaven forbid anyone dunk their biscuits in their tea in her presence. The royal stamp of approval ensured the enduring popularity of afternoon tea. It became a symbol of sophistication, spreading from grand palaces to modest parlours. Afternoon tea provided a comforting anchor, a reminder of tradition and civility. High tea, the elephant in the room. High tea is not the same thing as afternoon tea. Contrary to popular belief, high tea wasn't some sort of grander or more exclusive affair. In fact, it was quite the opposite. High tea originated as a more substantial meal, typically enjoyed by the working classes in the early evening around 5 or 6 p.m. It was served on higher tables, hence the name, and included heartier fare like meat pies, cheese and bread. Think of it as a Victorian-era supper designed to refuel after a long day of working in the factories. Afternoon tea, on the other hand, was reserved for the upper classes, and enjoyed in the late afternoon. It focused on lighter bites, and of course, copious amounts of tea. Coffee was considered to be a more masculine affair. But afternoon tea empowered aristocratic women with this new domestic task that was normally delegated to servants. A timeless ritual, the enduring allure of afternoon tea. A cup of tea makes everything better, from its humble beginnings in a duchess's drawing room to its enduring popularity in tea rooms and hotels around the world. This charming ritual has certainly stood the test of time in today's fast-paced world where texts fly faster than teacups. Afternoon tea offers a welcome respite. It's a chance to slow down, to appreciate the finer things in life, and to reconnect with friends and loved ones over a shared love of all things tea-infused. So, the next time you find yourself with a spare afternoon and a hankering for something sweet, why not embrace this time-honoured tradition? Brew a pot of your favourite tea and invite your friends round. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below about your favorite tea time traditions. Remember, when life gives you lemons, add some tea.